I killed my best friend today. Not with a gun or a knife. Nothing so crude. Nothing that would leave fingerprints or blood spatter for the CSI crew to parade on the evening news. No. I did it with a whisper into the right ear at the right cocktail party. The kind where the air smells like aged scotch and desperation. And ambitions hang heavier than the fog rolling off the Hudson. And as her empire crumbled in slow motion, broadcast live on CNBC like a bad reality show, I felt the first real crack in the armor I'd worn since the day they peeled me out of my own skin and stitched me into this stranger's hide. It started 3 years ago, back when I was Avery Hart, queen of the derivatives desk at Vanguard Capital in the glass jungle of Midtown Manhattan. I wasn't just good, I was the goddamn oracle. Wall Street whispered my name like it was a prayer or a curse, depending on whose portfolio I'd just tanked. I'd clawed my way up from a trailer park in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Think Rust Belt grit meets Ivy League polish, trading my prom dress for a Bloomberg terminal and my mom's Valium stash for Red Bull and 12-hour stakeouts on market ticks. By 35, I had the corner office, the black Amex that didn't blink at a weekend in Aspen, and Elena Vasquez as my shadow, my protégé, my confidant, the sister I never had. We were unbreakable, or so I thought, until the boardroom betrayal that swapped my life for hers in ways no one saw coming. Elena had the eyes of a fox and the handshake of a vice president, sharp, unyielding, the kind that left you wondering if she'd just sized up your soul for auction. She was fresh off Harvard Business, a Latina powerhouse from the Bronx who talked trash about the old boys club while outmaneuvering them at every turn. I mentored her because I saw myself, hungry, overlooked, ready to burn it all down for a seat at the table. We'd stay late, feet up on my desk, splitting bottles of Veuve and plotting our takeover of the firm's risk management division. Avery, she'd say, her voice like velvet over gravel. You're the brains. I'm the blade. I laughed it off, but deep down, I believed her. That was my first mistake. The swap happened on a Tuesday in July. The kind of sweltering beast that makes the sidewalk shimmer and tempers snap like over-leveraged bonds. We'd been prepping for the biggest merger in Vanguard's history, $2.8 billion in toxic assets from a floundering tech unicorn, the sort of deal that could make or break careers. I was the architect, Elena the executor. But that morning, as I scrolled through the final risk assessments in my office, the door burst open. Not a knock. Elena's style was always more ambush than announcement. Behind her loomed Harlan Crow, the firm's silver-haired patriarch, a man whose net worth could buy half of Pennsylvania and whose moral compass spun like a drunk compass in a hurricane. Avery, Harlan drawled, his southern drawl thick as molasses. We need to talk. Elena hovered like a vulture, her smile too tight, eyes darting to the floor. What followed was a blur. Accusations of insider trading, fabricated emails timestamped for my IP, wire transfers to offshore accounts that weren't mine. They had it all, photoshopped ledgers, witness statements from ghosts I'd never met. I screamed fraud, slammed my fist on the desk until the crystal decanter shattered. But Harlan just adjusted his cufflinks and murmured about consequences. By noon, security escorted me out in handcuffs, not real ones, just the metaphorical zip ties of a non-disclosure agreement thicker than the Bible. My nameplate? Yanked off the door before the ink dried on my termination papers. Tossed in the trash like yesterday's latte foam. That night, alone in my suddenly too big loft on the Upper West Side, I pieced it together over takeout lo mein and a bottle of Maker's Mark. Elena. It had to be. The emails bore her syntax, those quirky semicolons she loved. the passive-aggressive sign-offs. She'd been skimming data, feeding it to a rival firm, Quantum Edge, and pinning it on me to climb the ladder.
But why?
We'd shared everything. Secrets over spa days. Hangovers after girls' nights at Le Bain. I dug deeper. Hacking into her cloud backups with a backdoor I'd planted years ago. Paranoia pays dividends. There it was, a hidden folder labeled Eclipse. Blueprints for a neural interface prototype. Black market biotech from a Silicon Valley ghost lab. Not just any swap, a full consciousness transfer. The kind of sci-fi wet dream cooked up in garages by rogue coders chasing godhood. The secret she'd buried? Our mentor, Harlan, wasn't just complicit, he was the architect. 20 years ago, he'd buried a Ponzi scheme that wiped out pensions for steelworkers in Pittsburgh, my dad's included. The man who raised me on stories of union strikes and broken promises. Harlan had walked free, but the guilt? It festered. Elena, his illegitimate daughter from a fling with a junior analyst, was his redemption play. She'd confessed it to me once, half drunk, but I waved it off as exaggeration. Now it clicked. She needed my fall to ascend,
To prove to Daddy she was worthy.
and the swap? Their insurance policy. If I fought back, they'd erase me entirely, mind, body, legacy. I didn't sleep. Dawn broke with me staring at the ceiling, the city humming like a hive below. By 8 a.m., I was on a burner phone to a contact from my Scranton days, ex-Fed named Tommy Ruiz, who owed me for pulling his kid out of a bad spot with some local bookies. I need off the grid, I told him. And I need a new face. Tommy knew a guy in Jersey, a back alley surgeon with a god complex and a scalpel steady as a surgeon's. Ironic.
That.
But it wasn't just plastic, it was the prototype Elena had leaked. I'd reverse-engineered enough from her files to jury-rig a transfer rig in a rented storage unit in Newark. Risky? Hell yes. Fatal? Maybe. But dying as Avery Hart, the fall girl for their dynasty? Not an option. The procedure hit like a freight train. Strapped to a gurney under flickering fluorescence, electrodes buzzing against my temples, I felt my essence uncoil, memories flashing like a malfunctioning slideshow, Mom's funeral in the rain, my first $1 million trade, Elena's laugh echoing in a Hamptons beach house. Then,
Void.
when I woke, it was in the body of Lila Voss, a mousy paralegal from Quantum Edge who'd OD'd on fentanyl in her bathtub 2 weeks prior. Tommy's donation. Lila was forgettable, 5'4", dishwater blonde, the kind of woman who blended into elevator banks. Perfect camouflage. My new eyes blinked at the mirror, not me, but close enough to haunt. Revenge isn't a sprint, it's a marathon through razor wire. First, I infiltrated Quantum as Lila, forging creds with a few deepfakes and a sob story about corporate loyalty. Elena had jumped ship post-merger, parachuting into Harlan's CEO throne at Vanguard with a corner office twice the size of mine. The nameplate? Polished brass. Engraved, Elena Vasquez Crow. Salt in the wound. I watched from afar, nursing grudges like hangovers, gathering intel. Harlan's peccadillos, mistresses in the Hamptons. Insider tips to senators. Elena's cracks, nights at speakeasies. Whispering doubts to a therapist on Park Avenue. They thought they were untouchable. Gods in pinstripes. But gods bleed. My first move was subtle, a leaked memo to the SEC, anonymized through Tor, hinting at irregularities in the merger. Nothing damning, just enough to draw blood, a $50 million fine. Headlines in the journal calling Elena the Ice Queen of Wall Street. She fired back on X, a thread ranting about witch hunts and glass ceilings, racking up blue-check sympathy. I smiled in my queen's walk-up, sipping instant coffee. Hook set. But the real play? The body swap Stark twin. Elena's prototype wasn't one way, it was reversible. If you had the codes. I'd stolen them from her cloud, buried in metadata. Step 2. Get her isolated. I posed as a headhunter, Lila Voss from a boutique firm, dangling a phantom board seat at a competitor. She bit. Ambition's the original sin. We met at the Polo Bar, that wood-paneled tomb of old money where deals die over dry martinis. Her eyes lit up when I slid the folder across. Projections. NDAs. The works. This could bury Vanguard, she purred, leaning in. I nodded, slipping a microdose of scopolamine into her glass. Truth Serum Light, courtesy of Tommy's Pharmacopoeia. Under its haze, she spilled the Ponzi cover-up. Harlan's DNA test confirming paternity. How they'd framed me to test my loyalty, as if I were the disposable one. You were always too soft. Avery, she slurred, oblivious to the ghost across the table. Dad said you'd fold. I recorded it all. Voice modulator masking my replies. By dessert. She was nodding off, mumbling about the rig in the basement. Harlan's townhouse. 74th Street. Jackpot. That night, I broke in, easy pickings for a woman who'd once hotwired her dad's Chevy to skip curfew. The prototype hummed in the wine cellar, a Frankenstein's lab of servers and neural caps. I waited, heart pounding like a subprime ticker. Harlan arrived first, stumbling in from a gala, reeking of cigar smoke. Elena next, chauffeured in a black Escalade. They argued, father-daughter opera, all accusations and slammed doors. She's circling.
Dad.
I can feel it. Harlan laughed. That booming baritone. Let her come. We've got the failsafe. The failsafe? A kill switch in the swap protocol erased the host mind remotely. They'd planned to use it on me if I surfaced. But tonight, with Elena's passcode, I flipped the script. As they prepped the rig for a maintenance run, I hit enter from the shadows. Lights flickered. Elena gasped, clutching her head. Harlan roared, fumbling for his phone. Their minds tangled swapped. Not with me, but each other. Father in daughter's body. Daughter in father's. Chaos incarnate. I stepped out then, Lila's face under the cellar's red glow. Pack your trophies. Elena. The board meets at dawn. Dawn painted the sky over Central Park in bruised purples. The kind of light that makes joggers look like specters and hot dog vendors like reluctant prophets. I slipped out of Harlan's townhouse through the service alley. The neural cap tucked in my knapsack like contraband plutonium. Elena's gasps echoed in my skull, part triumph, part nausea, as her consciousness booted into Harlan's aging frame. Father and daughter, trapped in each other's meat suits, screaming silent wars across the ether. It was poetic. Really, the ultimate boardroom merger. Hostile and irreversible without my codes. But poetry doesn't pay the rent, and I had a long day ahead. Back in Queens, I ditched Lila's clothes for something sharper, a thrift store blazer that screamed ambitious mid-level, and fired up my laptop. The recording from the Polo Bar was gold, Elena's slurred confessions, Harlan's complicity in the Ponzi, my framing as the cherry on top. I anonymized it further, bouncing it through VPNs from Toronto to Tokyo, then fed it to a string of journalists. Not the fluff piece crowd at Forbes, no. The pit bulls at ProPublica and The Intercept, the ones who eat SEC leaks for breakfast and spit out Pulitzer bones. By 9 a.m., my burner buzzed, Tommy Ruiz, voice gravelly as a smoker's cough. You stirred the hornet's nest,
kid.
Vanguard stocks dipping like a drunk at last call. Good. Let it dip. I showered. Lila's body still felt foreign. Her skin too soft. Her reflexes a half-beat slow, and plotted the next incision. Revenge isn't just exposure, it's vivisection. Elena and Harlan would claw their way back. Swap reversed in some panic room lab, but not before I gutted their empire. Step 3. The controversial call. I'd always prided myself on clean hands, trades above board. No shorting widows' IRAs. But this was dirty pool. The kind of move that'd get me disbarred if I weren't already a ghost. I targeted the little guy. Vanguard's retail investors, teachers from Ohio, retirees in Florida condos, who'd poured life savings into our funds on the promise of ethical capitalism. Harlan's Ponzi had seeded it all. My framing hid the rot. As Lila Voss, paralegal turned whistleblower, I posed as a class action coordinator, seeding forums on Reddit's r/Wall Street Bets and LinkedIn groups with insider tips. Not lies, truths twisted just enough to ignite. Vanguard's cooking books. Pull out now. Panic spread like wildfire through dry brush, sell-offs, viral threads, talking heads on Fox Business foaming about The Big Short 2.0. By noon, the stock cratered 18%, wiping $400 million in a heartbeat. Guilty? Hell yes. But Harlan's victims from '05? They deserved their pound of flesh, even if it came from mine. Elena called an emergency board meeting at Vanguard's HQ, that fortress of frosted glass on Lexington Avenue. I watched the live stream from a Duane Reade coffee shop, nursing a burnt Americano. She, still in Harlan's body, jowls quivering, barked orders, voice cracking on the edges. This is sabotage. Sabotage by a disgruntled ex-employee. The board, a cabal of septuagenarians in Hermes ties, nodded like bobbleheads. Harlan, trapped in Elena's lithe form, sat silent, eyes wild, probably calculating divorce settlements in his head. The irony burned, the power couple, reduced to a gender-bent farce, their dirty laundry airing on Bloomberg terminals worldwide. My phone lit up an unknown number, Manhattan prefix. I answered, voice pitched low. Voss. It was her therapist.
Dr.
Miriam Hale. The Park Avenue shrink Elena had name-dropped in her drugged ramble. MS. Voss. Elena Vesquez-Crowe mentioned you.
She's
not herself. In crisis. Bingo. I'd planted the seed in the leak. A breadcrumb trail leading straight to Lila. Tell her to meet me. Neutral ground. Washington Square Park.
dusk.
Come alone.
Click.
Dusk in the village is magic and menace. Buskers strumming Dylan covers. NYU kids hustling skateboards. The arch looming like a judgment. I waited on a bench, facing the fountain, Lila's unremarkable features hidden under a Yankees cap. Elena arrived late, striding in Harlan's bespoke suit that hung wrong on her borrowed frame, too broad in the shoulders, too tight at the hips. Her face, my old protégé's, was a mask of fury and fragility, mascara smudged like war paint. What the fuck is this? Lila? Some kind of joke. She dropped onto the bench. Close enough I smelled her Chanel No. 5 mixed with Harlan's Old Spice. Not a joke, I said, keeping my gaze on a pigeon pecking crumbs. A correction. She laughed, bitter as black coffee. You think you can touch us? Dad's got friends in D.C., senators, regulators. One call, and you're buried. I pulled out my phone, hit play. Her voice filled the air, tinny but unmistakable. Avery took the fall.
For us.
For the family. Elena's eyes widened, then narrowed to slits. Deep fake. Easy to debunk. But doubt flickered. The scopolamine haze had stripped her bare. We talked for an hour, the park emptying around us like a stage set clearing for the climax. She confessed fragments, the guilt over me, the pressure from Harlan to prove her blood, the swap as a family heirloom to preserve their legacy. I didn't want to hurt you, Avery. But you were. Expendable. Expendable. The word landed like a gut punch, echoing the day security marched me out. I wanted to lunge, to claw that face, my almost sister's, until it bled truth. Instead, I offered mercy, the reversal code.
For a price. Resign.
Both of you. Walk away clean. She balked. Of course. Pride's a hell of a drug. Or what? You expose us and fade back to obscurity. Or I burn it all. The controversial decision hung there, exposed the swap tech. And it wasn't just them. It was the whole underbelly of Wall Street's black ops. Neural hacks. Identity theft as C-suite strategy. The feds would swarm. But innocents too, coders in basements, desperate execs chasing immortality. Elena saw the calculus. Her stolen, lips curling. You're bluffing. You're just like me, too invested to blow it up. She stood, tossing a card on the bench. Call if you grow a spine.
Gone.
Swallowed by the twilight. That night, alone with the city's pulse throbbing through my thin walls, doubt crept in. Was I the villain now? Framing the framers? Poisoning the well for the greater good? Scranton Avery would have walked away, head high, started over in some flyover firm. But this body, this life, it fueled the fire. I uploaded the next tranche, Harlan's DNA docs, proving the Ponzi cover-up tied to his family values facade. By morning, protests erupted outside Vanguard, pensioners with signs reading, "Crows, crows, peck the poor." Elena's X-feed exploded. Death threats. Doxes. The mob's unfiltered ID. Harlan reached out next. Through back channels, an encrypted app. Message terse. We know it's you.
Meet.
Or we activate the kill switch. The failsafe. My mind. Lila's body, poof.
Lights out.
I agreed. Heart hammering. Location. The old merger war room. Vanguard's 52nd floor. After hours. Symbolic. As I rode the elevator, mirroring the ascent I'd made years ago, I palmed the USB drive with the full Eclipse files. Insurance. The room was dark, city lights fracturing through blinds like shattered diamonds. Harlan no. Elena in his skin, paced by the window, backlit like a noir silhouette. The real Harlan, in her body, lounged at the conference table, legs crossed, a tumbler of bourbon sweating rings on mahogany. Avery, he purred, voice high and unfamiliar. Or should I say Lila, come to gloat. I didn't flinch. Came to end it. We circled. Words as weapons. Accusations. Justifications. The ugly math of betrayal. Elena lunged, clumsy in the old man's frame, grabbing my wrist. Give us the code.
Bitch.
Or die in that junky shell. The fight was brief. Brutal, chairs toppling, fists glancing off ribs, the scent of sweat and scotch. I pinned him, against the glass. The drop to Lexington, a vertigo whisper. You stole my life. Now live yours. Harlan. From Elena's throat.
Laughed.
Family first. Darling. Always. That's when I saw it. The remote on the table. Kill switch fob. My finger hovered over the USB port on the conference AV. One upload. And the world knew. But the twist? As we grappled, Elena's hand brushed the fob. A click. Pain lanced my skull, fireworks behind eyes. Memories fracturing. Not dead. Rewired. In the haze, I realized the swap wasn't binary. It was a triad. My mind, bouncing, not to oblivion, but back. Into Elena's body.
No.
Harlan's. The room spun, bodies slumping like discarded suits. When clarity hit, I was staring down at.
Me?
No. Lila's hands on Harlan's chest. Elena's eyes in my old face. Chaos. They'd miscalibrated. 3 minds in a loop. Me and Harlan. Elena and Lila. Harlan and me. Avery's shell. The shock rooted us. Harlan's voice from my lips. What the fuck? Elena, in Lila's frame, whimpered. And I, in the patriarch's sagging skin, felt the weight of decades, the Ponzi guilt, the daughter he never claimed. Power's illusion, fragile as a trade on margin. Power isn't a throne, it's a noose, tightening with every breath you take in someone else's skin. I stood there in Harlan's body, 62 years of bourbon and board fights weighing on bones that creaked like the NYSE floor at closing bell, staring at the funhouse mirror of our triad swap. My old face, Avery's sharp jaw and hazel eyes, now housed Harlan's bluster, his mouth twisting in a curse that echoed off the war room walls. Fix this.
You idiots. Now.
Elena shrunk into Lila's petite frame, clawed at her new arms, nails digging crescents into unfamiliar flesh. Dad? Avery? This can't. I can't be her. Panic's a great equalizer. The ice queen reduced to a puddle. Mascara rivers on a stranger's cheeks.
Me?
I laughed. A deep, rattling bark from Harlan's chest, the kind that had commanded rooms from Dallas oil derricks to Davos ski lodges. It felt wrong, like wearing a rented tux to your own funeral, but damn if it didn't fit the moment. The USB drive dangled from the AV port. Upload stalled at 87%, enough leaked to crater the stock further. But not the kill shot. Sirens wailed distant. Maybe security roused by the scuffle. Or the city just mourning another corporate corpse. Welcome to the real merger, I growled, Harlan's drawl slipping into my cadence like oil on water. No takeovers. Just fallout. We scrambled, 3 souls in stolen vessels. Fumbling for the rig controls on Harlan's, my phone. Elena, in Lila, smashed it against the table. It's glitching. The loop's unstable.
Harlan,
puppeteering my body, lunged for the window, as if 42 stories could swallow the shame. I built this firm from nothing. You too. You ruined it. Ruined? Try resurrected. In his skin, I felt the ghosts, the Pittsburgh widows picketing his yacht club. the SEC file he'd buried under payoffs. My fall? Just the latest chapter in his ledger of sins. Betrayal's a family business. After all. The controversial pivot hit then, hard as a margin call at 3 a.m. Do I reverse it? Hand them the keys to their cages. Slink back to Lila's obscurity. And call it even? Or ride the wave? Wield Harlan's clout to dismantle from within? The board meeting loomed. 8 a.m. Sharp. Virtual feeds from London to L.A. As Harlan Crow, I could steer the ship into the rocks. Confess the Ponzi on live feed. Torch the dynasty. But Elena's eyes, Lila's eyes now, pleaded. Avery.
Please.
We're sisters.
Sisters.
The word twisted like a knife in fresh scar tissue. We barricaded the room. Chairs against the door. Breaths ragged in the AC hum. Harlan. In my shell. Paced like a caged panther. My panther. Lean and lethal. The prototype's got a reset protocol. Basement lab. But security's tight. Biometrics. My biometrics. Now his. Elena sobbed, Lila's voice cracking high. I can't go out like this. The headlines. CEO's daughter in drag? Harlan grabbed her shoulders, the touch electric with wrongness. Then fight.
Damn it.
Like Avery taught you. The ironies soured my gut. Teaching the betrayer to betray back. Decision time. The debatable fork. I could activate the full upload. Expose Eclipse to the world, neural swaps as the new Enron. Feds raiding dawn to dusk. Innocent scorched, the coders. The desperate execs chasing youth in vials. Or mercy play. Get to the lab. Reverse. Then anonymously drop the Ponzi bomb and vanish. Wall Street's code. Hurt where it counts. But leave the infrastructure standing. I chose the gray, partial exposure. We fix this, I said, voice booming. Then I bury you clean. Elena nodded. Frantic, Harlan sneered from my lips. Alliance of the damned. The descent was a gauntlet. Elevators locked post, 9/11 protocols. We took stairs. 42 flights of fire escape hell. Harlan's knees, my knees, screaming protest. Elena. In Lila. Tripped twice. Cursing in Spanglish that echoed our old late nights. This body's weak. How did you stand it? Avery?
Weak.
Try weaponized invisibility. At the lobby. Night staff glanced, curious. Not alarmed. Mr. Crow? Everything all right? I waved Harlan's Rolex. The lie smooth as a derivatives pitch. Just a drill. Go back to your spreadsheets. The townhouse on 74th was a siege zone, paparazzi vans idling like wolves. Flashbulbs popping at shadows. We slipped through the mews. Elena pickpocketing a valet's fob for the garage. Inside. The wine cellar lab glowed infernal, servers whirring like judgmental angels. The rig, a dentist's chair bolted to neural arrays. Caps humming with illicit promise. Biometric scanned. Harlan's print. Now mine. Access granted. Elena strapped in first. Lila's hands trembling on the straps. Make it quick. Harlan.
In me.
Hovered. My old habits in his stance. Arms crossed. Jaw set. Don't fuck it up. The reversal kicked like a mule. Lights strobed. Alarms wailed soft. Elena arched. A keening from Lila's throat. Then slumped. Success? Her eyes fluttered. Back in her own skin. Body reclaiming soul. Relief washed her face. Then horror as she saw us. Dad? Avery? Harlan next. Buckling into the chair, my body sloughing off like a bad trade. The transfer hummed. Mind's migrating home. I watched, detached in his husk, feeling the pull, my essence yanking back to where? The loop broke uneven. Elena emerged whole. Harlan gasped in his frame. Robust again.
Me?
I tumbled into limbo, a digital purgatory of code streams, then snapped into Elena's body? No, the rig shorted, spitting me not home, but hybrid. When the fog cleared, I was in my own skin, Avery Hart, 35 and fierce, but laced with echoes. Harlan's memories bled through. The Ponzi's first lie, Elena's birth certificate forged in a motel, and hers, the guilt of our Spa Day confessions. The night she keyed the swap to save family. Overlap. I was us. A chimeric revenge.
What?
Happened. Elena whispered. Naked vulnerability in her power suit. Harlan bolted up. Face ashen. The files, did they upload? I checked the phone, 100%. The world knew. Partial truth. Ponzi exposed. Merger fraud. But Eclipse veiled as speculative tech. Sirens now, real ones. NYPD en route. Tipped by the leak's metadata. Harlan roared. You bitch. After everything. He lunged, but I sidestepped, my old grace, laced with his bulk. Elena froze.
Torn.
The climax crested, decisions branching like a decision tree gone rogue. Do I testify? Drag them to the Hague of Finance? Or the twist, the reversal I'd hidden even from myself? In the bleed, I saw it, the real secret, chiseled in Harlan's recall. The framing? Not just ambition. I'd greenlit the insider trades, subtly, in a late-night email chain, chasing the merger high. Elena took the fall for me, swapping to protect my ascent. Harlan's orders. I'd been the blade all along.
Shock rooted me.
Betrayer betrayed by her own hand. It was me, I murmured. Elena's eyes widened. What? Harlan laughed. Manic. Told you she was soft, but the cops breached, cuffs clicking, statements demanded. I chose silence. The debatable end. Confess partial. Let the courts carve the rest. As they let us out, paparazzi frenzy a blizzard of light, I met Elena's gaze. Sisters still? Or ghosts? The twist inverted. My revenge. A mirror to their sins. Power's poison. And I drunk deep. The holding cell at one police plaza smells like regret and recycled air, stale coffee grounds mixed with a faint tang of desperation. The kind that clings to tweed suits and track pants alike. They processed us separately. Harlan in a private suite downtown, his lawyers swarming like barracudas at a chum line, Elena in a stark interview room, her power blazer rumpled, eyes hollowed by the night's revelations.
Me?
Avery Hart, risen from the dead, fingerprinted like a common pickpocket, my chimeric mind buzzing with the unholy trinity of our thoughts. The cops didn't know the half. Neural swaps sound like tinfoil hat ravings, but the SEC hounds were circling, badges gleaming under fluorescent hell. Interrogation started at 6 a.m. A detective named Kowalski with a Brooklyn accent thick as Coney Island fog and eyes that had seen too many white-collar dirges. MS. Hart, or should I say Voss, care to explain the break-in?
The
altercation? I leaned back, Harlan's drawl slipping unbidden into my reply. Altercation implies symmetry. Detective. This was restitution. He snorted, flipping through the leak files on his tablet. Ponzi details, merger fraud, dry as dust to him. Dynamite to the suits upstairs. Restitution for what? Getting canned 3 years back? Wall Street's a meat grinder. Lady. You want to sue? Get in line. I almost laughed, Harlan's ghost in my throat chuckling at the irony.
Sue?
I'd scripted their downfall, only to find my own fingerprints on the murder weapon. The bleed from the swap lingered, Elena's guilt gnawing like acid reflux after a 3-martini lunch. Harlan's pragmatism urging a plea deal. My core, Avery's fire, demanded the full burn. But the twist festered. That email chain, timestamped 2:14 a.m. On merger eve, my sign-off on the insider skim. Aggressive but necessary. I typed, high on the win. Elena, ever the fixer, had swapped to shield me. Harlan's puppet strings pulling us both. Betrayal? Mine. Self-inflicted. The secret buried? My complicity. Chiseled in server logs. Kowalski leaned in. Coffee breath a weapon. We got your recording. Vasquez spilling guts. Crow's DNA tying him to that '05 scam. Pittsburgh pensions. Right? Your hometown. Scranton adjacent. But close enough to sting. Dad's ghost nodded from the ether.
Yeah.
My dad lost everything. Roof over our heads. Gone. He softened. Fractionally, cops love a sob story with receipts. Then why the games? The bodies? The tech bullshit? I hedged. Controversial calculus spinning. Full truth dooms us all. Eclipse exposed as mad science. Partial? Lets the Ponzi rot the core. Me as whistleblower saint. Family drama, I said finally. Elena. She's like a sister. Harlan. The father neither of us deserved. Lies laced with truth. The American way, spin a yarn. Sell the sizzle. Kowalski bought it enough to cut the session. Shuffling me to holding with a warning. Feds will eat you alive. Heart. Better lawyer up. Elena and I crossed paths in the corridor. Cuffed parade. Guards barking. Her eyes met mine. Raw as an open position at market close. Avery. It was for you.
The swap.
To keep you clean. Harlan's pragmatism surged. Cut a deal. Blame the old man. But Avery's core rebelled. We were clean once. Before him. She nodded. Tears carving tracks. Before all of it, Harlan. In his suite. No doubt monologuing to counsel about legacy protection. The triad's echoes harmonized. Revenge's hollow core. Bail hearing dragged till noon. Manhattan criminal court a circus of clickbait and cable news vans. Harlan posted first, $10 mil. Vanishing into a chauffeured cocoon. Elena next. Her firm's bondsmen circling like vultures.
Me?
Tommy Ruiz pulled strings. A $500,000 slap from a slush fund of favors.
Outside.
The press mobbed. Avery. Was it corporate espionage? A lover's quarrel. I pushed through. Lila's old cap low. Hailing a cab to JFK. Not running, strategizing. The debatable end loomed. Happy closure or tragic loop. Back in Queens, my limbo lair, I booted the rig's remote clone. A laptop Frankenstein monitoring the fallout. Vanguard stock? Zombie walking. Down 42% on Ponzi panic. Board ousting Harlan in absentia. Elena resigned via email. Personal reasons, her ex-bio scrubbed to consultant at large.
Me?
Offers flooded. Book deals from Penguin. Podcast gigs on the fall of Wall Street's queens. Tempting. but tainted. The bleed whispered, expose the swap, biopic gold. Or bury it, rebuild as the survivor. The climax replayed in dreams, that email. My hubris greenlighting the skim. I'd suffered for them? No, they'd cleaned for me. The fall guy flipped. Twist's reversal. Revenge as boomerang. Striking the thrower. I chose the gray again, America's shade. Leaked the full chain anonymously. My complicity in the mix. Headlines twisted. Heart's redemption. Inside job exposed. Debates raged. Forums ablaze. Cable panels arguing hero or heel? Elena called that night. Voice steady. We start over. Together? Harlan? Silent. Probably golfing in Antigua. Legacy in tatters. Months blurred. Testimony in D.C. Settlements for Pittsburgh widows. $200 million clawed back. A drop, but something. I moved to Brooklyn. A brownstone with a view of the bridge. Trading terminals for a consultancy gig, ethical trades. Mentoring the overlooked. Elena joined. Chastened. Her blade dulled to scalpel. We swapped stories over takeout. Not view, laughing at the absurdity. The bodies we'd borrowed. Harlan? Indicted. Trial pending. His empire auctioned like estate sale junk.
Ending?
No tidy bow. Happy for the wronged. Tragic for the titans. I stand at my window. City lights winking like conspirators. Harlan's echo fading. Power's a noose. Elena sleeps in the guest room. Sister reclaimed.
Me?
Avery Hart. Whole but haunted. Packing trophies, not of gold, but grit. The door plaque? I etched my own. Avery Hart survivor. They erased it once. Never again. But in quiet nights, the question lingers, villain or victim. You decide. Wall Street's the stage. We're all actors in the con.